So you want to get from this side of the page to this side of the page. You could always cross along the line here, or you can go across like that. If you don't understand that, you might want to read a book. Hello, I'm Notes, and TesseracT is back for their third studio release, Polaris. TesseracT came out of their woodwork in the late 2010 era when they came out with their first album of One, and then followed it up beautifully with Altered State in 2013. These guys have really made a name for themselves in introducing that core metal sound, those really deep guitars, without being too bombastic, without being too in your face the entire time. There's more emphasis on atmosphere. There's a little bit more emphasis on developing the songs and the structure of the song. Instead of just being that that a lot of core metal bands have, and also blending a lot of progressive metal into their sounds as well. So I really enjoyed Altered State. Us fans, we've been waiting for the next release from this band, and we haven't been disappointed with Polaris. I will admit, the album starts off very well. That high and low sequence of notes, that dun 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 dun, and always coming back to that lower notes, those really low guttural notes that I love. So let's take a listen to that first song of Dystopia that really opens the floor for the band. There's one piece in particular that I really love and I always come back to, and it sounds a little bit like this. Wait a minute, isn't that the greatest thing you'll ever learn? And then it's just enough to beat out every time. It's just to love and be loved. Did you guys just give me a second? Did you guys just quote Moulin Rouge? I mean, a metal band going after the Baz, I guess that works. It works really well with the music, so hey, why not? When I first listened to that piece, it did kind of throw me for a little bit. I was just like, wait a minute, that sounds like that line, that overused line from Moulin Rouge. But I dig it. I think it's a really good subtle hint there. And then from Dystopia, it actually blends perfectly into hexes, and it gives you a little bit of a softer taste of their music after that. I will note that the album overall feels much softer than their previous releases. There's a little bit more time spent in developing the atmosphere of the song. There's less time just noodling around on their instruments. This one has really stretched the legs in terms of musicianships in developing those moods and atmospheres for the album as a whole. And I think they did a really good job at that without getting too melodramatic, without getting too wishy-washy in their playing. It felt like they were really able to balance that subtler tones with those deep and those guttural sounds. One of the songs that I really particularly like on this album is Utopia. At the end, it almost feels like a Linkin Park kind of homage a little bit, where they are not quite rapping, but they've got that angst, that teenage angst, that youthful angst about it. And so there's that anger and that aggression in the vocals, and it's not quite singing, but they're not right out rapping. Instead of being just another homage or just another kind of rip-off, it actually works within the song itself. I like how that angst is presented without being just a regular type of that Linkin Park, just aggression for aggression's sake. This actually works because it's blended very well with the rest of the album. Forgiveness, total regression, remedy, total division.
Destruction, triple the tension, trickery, double division, giving destruction, synergy, double division, now!
And it goes right into Phoenix, which has that same kind of passion that was found in Utopia, but instead of sounding like Linkin Park or some of those other late 90s, early 2000s metal bands, this almost feels a little bit like a Muse song in that it's blending the vocals very, very well with a very airy guitar and that guitar riff throughout the song. So the overall presentation of that was very well done, and I really like how they were able to blend the vocal work with the guitars going on that song. Even though this album is a little bit mellow, a little bit atmospheric, they close it off with Cages and 7 Names. I love how they have that, again, that guttural guitar without being too brutal. That brutal guitar without being too guttural. They're able to really hunker down and get that sound really, really flushed out. And Cages is a great example of how they're able to blend this and really make that sound work. I have to say, you need to listen to this on a really good pair of headphones to really get that bass sound that's permeated in this album. It's very much like those core metal bands, those bands that use a lot of bass, even within their guitar work. There's not a whole lot of guitar work that's in the upper notes, except for Phoenix and some of those other songs, but overall, it's those bass that really driving, that hits you in the chest kind of a feel. I would say download this with headphones and really enjoy that surround sound feel that it has on that. And really, that's about it. It's a great album. I suggest you check it out if you are into bands like Leprous, and I would definitely recommend checking this out if you need something between now and like that next really heavy release. They're everything I've come to enjoy of that progressive metal type of sound, that moving the music forward without being too out of place. This album's actually a really good start if you haven't heard of TesseracT. It's a really good presentation of their music. And that's about it. Have you heard about TesseracT? If you have, let me know what you thought about this album down below. And thank you so much for watching. That's about it from me. Notes out.